Those years, I was blessed to learn from him as a seminary intern. And all I can say is that his passion for youth and his missionary zeal have definitely had a lasting impact on me, especially in my current assignment at USC. But Father Tony, I must say, Judge Judy reruns and late night Dodger games had a lot to teach me as well. And by the way, the Dodgers are winning right now. In 2018, he moved to St. Philip the Apostle in Pasadena. His most recent challenge has been to help families recovering from the nearby Eaton fire. Faith doesn't guarantee you aren't going to suffer, Father Gomez reminds his parishioners. Faith does guarantee there will be a good end in eternity. Please welcome our distinguished alumni honoree, Father Tony Gomez.
Good evening. I can't tell you, just like Paul talked about, how odd it feels to be standing here tonight. You know, in those years of teaching, most of them with 13, 14, 15-year-olds, I heard over and over and over again, I want to be a professional athlete, I want to be a music star, I want to be an actor, I want to be this, I want to be that, that everything was, I want to be famous. So it led me to ask myself, well, that's what they want, what do I want? And it occurred to me, really, the only thing I want is just to be a face in a crowd. Be able to go to work, do my job well, come home satisfied that I did the best I could for that day. And now all of a sudden I'm here, thank goodness these lights are right in my face so I can't see everybody. Thank goodness. So eventually then, a question came up in seminary, after my first Mass. And I got to tell you, for the first Mass, you're standing there thinking two things. One, how did I get here? And two, does this really count? And so I took track of who it was that got me to that point. Some of the names you may know, some of them you may not know. But anyway, of course, like many have said, my parents, to this day, they've been dead. My father died in 1972 and my mother in 1991. But to this day, everything they taught and did was still an influence on me. Elementary school, Sisters of the Love of God, Sister Vincent Canas, who was my teacher, 4th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. High school, some of you will remember the name Merritt Hemingway, who was principal at Bishop Amat, and then Campus Sacred Heart in Santa Margarita, and Damien. He was the influential person all through high school. In the seminary, of course, everybody's favorite teacher, Father Jack Rennick, was the toughest teacher I ever had. You couldn't be a second late to class. If you were late, out. And you couldn't stay in. So everybody learned how to be on time, which was a challenge for me. And Deacon Mari was laughing at me. I was on the phone with him today, and I said, Mari, I got a wedding at 2 o'clock, and I think it was 1:56. I got to run. We got to do it. Anyway, and then my internship, and I don't know if he's here, I haven't seen him tonight, Father Ed Dover. He's now the pastor at Beatitudes, who taught me how to be a priest. And taught me that you can be a priest and still be yourself. Now, there are two other people I want to tell you about right now. They were influential, the ones who kept me grounded. From the day I entered the seminary until this day, I have over here sitting somewhere 2 goddaughters, Kay and Jen. They were 14 years old when I told them I was going to the seminary. And Jen said, well, congratulations. Kay looked concerned, and she says, can I ask you something? I said, sure. She said, are you going to get a priest's belly? Okay, I should make you stand up for that. And then I said, Kay, I've always been in shape. Come on, I've always been in shape. You don't have to worry about it. She said, well, how about priest hands? I said, what are priest hands? And she said, you know, soft. Oh well. Yeah, okay. Can't do anything about that. I also want to say, you know, I don't want to skip them, but I'm here with family right in front of me. My sister Carmen and her daughter Katie and Katie's husband Johnny. My other family, Kathy and JR, have an ADU attached to their home in Santa Clarita. And two of my godchildren with them, Celeste and Luke, are here. The other two couldn't be here tonight, and then Deacon Mario and Ann. I gotta tell you this because it's a formative experience in my life. In 2003, Kathy called me at 3 a.m. January 27, 2003. I'm in labor. Come and pick me up. JR's already left for work. I got there fast, got my godson Jericho and picked her up. But the only thing I remember saying all the way to Cedar Sinai is, hang on, I don't know what to do. And we got there, thank goodness, and JR was able to get there very quickly from work. And you know, just waited. Jericho and I waited in the waiting room till she was born, sometime after 11:30, right around there. And I saw Celeste for the first time, maybe 20 minutes after she was born, and saw that face, new life, right in front of me. And the only way I can describe it is, it was like I walked through a door, and I've lived the rest of my life on the other side. Thank you, sweetheart. So now, 5 years in seminary. Honestly, those were the best 5 years of my life. Or almost. Right up at the very top. The friends, the things we did. I loved the seminary. Both on campus and off. And the friends we made there, you never expected that you'll go so close to people, but it happens. And so I have a group, 5 of us from my class, there were 14 of us from my class, 5 of us get together for the last 27 years, once a month they have dinner. And when this was announced, I said, you know what? I don't know why me. And they said, well, exactly, why you? So if you're out there, thanks guys. Anyway, I want to say thank you to Cardinal Mahoney, who ordained my class. Went through the seminary with him. I just want to remind you, Cardinal Mahoney, that's over here somewhere, something I told you a long time ago, but I'm sure you don't remember it. But once in Mass, when I was at Norwalk, this was the Sunday before the UCLA-USC game. So during the announcements, I felt compelled to remind everybody that UCLA wears the color of our Blessed Mother. And USC wears the color of the devil. And somebody yelled out at me, Cardinal Mahoney wears red. And I said, proves my point. Now, a long time ago, I thought I'd better tell him before he hears it from somebody else. There was another thing I remember with Cardinal Mahoney, particularly just about a week before we were ordained. He took us over to Alvera Street for dinner, the whole class. And I looked at him and said, you know, everything's okay except you're going to ask me to promise obedience to you. And that's going to be tough. And he looked me straight in the face and said, to me and my successors. And I thought, how about that? A child of the 60s finally learns obedience. You know, no more resist the man. So I want to thank you, Cardinal Mahoney. Also want to thank Archbishop Gomez. You know, I've told people for years he's my uncle. Gomez and uncle. But that was just to cover up the truth. He's my dad. Yeah. Anyway, there's not enough money in the world for me to take over the job that he had, or ever to have had that. You know, I am amazed by the amount of pressure that he has to put up with, and impressed by the quiet grace and strength he has in this job. You know, I'm happy to say that he is more than my Archbishop, he is my friend. That's a friendship that I cherish. Thank you, Bishop. So anyway, I just want to say, you know, the seminary, I believe, is in good hands with Leon. So thank you for accepting that, Leon. Yeah? Good luck. And thank you all for being here, all of my friends from St. Linus, from St. Philip, and family, and everywhere else. Thank you all.